All right, so I think that we are live. So this is kind of how the B game works. So you come in here and you go to the link, blah blah blah, da, 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 and you join as any faction. Um, Now only I have the option to edit because it's mine. Haha. uh, so you can join as any of the factions, and you'll only be able to see the stuff. Actually, is it? Does it still need to be hidden? I guess it doesn't need to be hidden. Interesting. I'll go back to that. Fix it later. So the way this works is every player around the table has a hive, and in their hive are bees. Now, each of these bees does a function. Now, there are 6 different functions that a bee can do. This is for a variant of the game. And so each of these bees has a function that it can do. Now, it could nurse. Nursing gives you more bees. It could process. Processing turns nectar into honey. It could build. Build spends honey to get more honeycomb. So those are the actions that it can do in the hive. And in doing so, it helps to protect its hive from other people that might come along and try to steal stuff from you. So when the game starts, everybody begins with a certain number of tiles. So 5 tiles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So everyone kind of begins the game with a certain number of tiles, right? So, and everyone begins the game with resources. So these little spots are brood chambers. They are the only spots in the hive. These 4 are the only spots in the hive that can be used to get more bees. Now that's important because you need bees. It's how you win the game. So these spots can hold honey, but if they hold anything except for pollen, they don't work anymore. So they can hold honey, they can hold nectar, but now I can't use them to grow new bees like I would want to. Because if they're filled with anything other than pollen, they cannot grow more bees. Now, it's a thing that beehives will do, where they come along and they fill the brood chamber full of honey and nectar and all this stuff the queen doesn't want to lay her eggs in. Can't lay her eggs in because there's no space. And then she loses those brood chambers. That's kind of an artifact of beeality. So I, as a player, might fill these all with honey, and the game would begin. Now, I will have one rival who will do pretty much the same thing, but just a little bit different, right? So, and they're gonna do this, and we'll kind of see how this plays out, I guess. Now, on your turn as a player, you are allowed, and there's no point starting with anything other than honey, really. Nectar is kind of cool, but it doesn't. Honey is the final form, and you use it to actually do stuff. So it'll be a game of purple versus yellow. All right, we have each faction, and purple will start, and it will go back and forth. So on your turn, you will use 3 bees. Now these 3 bees will either do hive actions or field actions. Okay, we'll edit this in post. It's live. Oh no. So these bees will either do hive things or do field things. It will not do both. And I will do that every single part of the turn. So with these 3 bees, first I'm going to do hive actions. I'm going to send this guy to here. Actually, these should go over there, right? Because this is the bee pool. So first bee goes onto there. Second bee goes onto here. And these bees are going to do the nurse action. And the nurse action just kind of says, hey, spend a pollen to get a bee. Pretty simple. And this one is going to go here, and I'll come back to him. So the first thing that happens is we spend 1, we get a bee. We spend 1, we get a bee. And now these 2 kind of actions are done. I won't be able to do that again anytime soon. But what he's going to do is he's here because he's building. So he's going to spend this honey and earn a comb. right there. Now, it looks like there's a lot of things that are going on, but that's a factor of it being a virtual game. These guys are going to do the opposite. They're going to spend 3 Bs on field. Now, currently, there's nothing really to do. What they could do is all 3 Bs could come over here and rob. Now, what robbing would do is it would get them closer to stealing honey from the rival hive. So right now they would be in possession of this hex, and purple would have to throw some bees in to kick them out and all that stuff. But they believe in peace for now. So what they're going to do is they're going to scout. And what they're going to discover is a red one. Now they can put this anywhere they want within 3 hexes of their hive. So they're going to scout that there. This bee scouts and goes back here, because all your scouts, hatch, brood, and everything goes there. So that's now discovered. I could stick these 2 bees on here and collect 2 resources, either those resources being either pollen or nectar. However, there's nowhere for me to put it. Right, so there's nowhere for me to put any resources that I collect until I build something. So we're not going to do that. What we are going to do is we're going to scout again. Throw him in there and get a new tile. Oh, look, another red. Now this is pretty good, because if I get enough of any color flower together, it can flip over and each one is worth an extra 1. So, but for now, just 1 more, and then this one is going to begin the process of robbing. Because I did field bees, I can do 3 bees at a time in any of those actions, however many times I want. Up to 3. So he's going to put that guy there. So he's going to start the procedure of robbing this hive. Now, I can only put bees, we'll come back to that, but I can only put bees adjacent to where I start. So, to where I am, I could start another set of robbers from that way. But 3 bees here. By him putting a bee here, it forces me to protect myself a little bit. So how I now need to do things in the hive, even though I don't really want to. So this bee is going to do this. He's going to build, which gives me one of these right there. And this bee is also going to build, but he's going to build a brood space. The OCD of you out there are really, really just crying. And that's going to spend both of these into there. Goodbye. And then we have one final bee. Now this bee has nothing that it can do. It can't fight anybody off. It can't do anything. It can't build. It can't nurse. It can't process. It can't do anything. But it has to do stuff within the hive. But it can't do anything at all. So it's just gonna kind of go here and become and get used. It can't even fight. Can't even guard its hive. So it just kind of goes back here. Yellow's turn. 3 bees. We were going to keep robbing, but there's no reason to, so we're going to do stuff in the hive. Going to nurse, build, right there. So that goes there. This guy goes there. That guy goes there. I really shouldn't have a yellow in this game. So that gives 2 of these, right in there. Purple. 3 bees. Let's field. Let's explore the world out there, guys. So they draw a tile. Now this tile is, I'll just bring this over here. There's no reason for it to be all the way over there. Okay, it's not on there. Why is it on there? Is it not on there? Should be. Okay, new growth. I'm just blind. I can spend this at any time. Select a non-hive terrain token and replace with a random one from the bag. Okay, so I can spend this at any time. So what that means is when he gets a 3rd red, I'm probably going to spend this to replace it with a random one. So, but that was my first scout. Second scout is grass. 1, 2, 3. Or actually, I'll put it over here. kind of mess with him a little bit and allow myself. And I've discovered nothing that I can access yet. And so the third scout is a yellow tile. Now we're going to put that just out of reach for him. And that's all 3 Bs into there. Now his final 3 Bs are going to build and nurse. You know, we'll just finish that off. And this bee doesn't have anything to do, so it kind of sits back there. It doesn't have anybody that it can fight. One last bee, gonna come over here and collect some pollen. I was just gonna put that pollen there. Now, one of the FAQs is what happens to this pollen? If this were empty and I put a bee here, I placed a bee, could it spend this pollen to get a new one? Yes. However, I could not place a bee here to spend this pollen to get a new brood. If that makes sense. I hope it does. Legalese, jargon, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and he flies back. And they all fly back, and they all do their things. Now, this tile does not flip over. There is a rule that when a tile has 2 or more bees on it at the end of the turn, it flips over. Or it becomes exhausted. That's another thing to add to the list. I need an exhausted token. So, this tile does not flip over because it only had 1 bee on it. It does not become exhausted because it only had 1 bee on it. What should exhausted tokens be? I don't know. Brown or green. It doesn't matter. So regardless, this one is still fresh and can be harvested from next turn. Where it gets interesting is if purple had a bee on it and brown had a bee on it or green had a bee on it or blue had a bee on it or anybody else, if there were 2 bees on it, it would flip. So you can kind of sabotage other players with that as a strat. Anyway, all of this comes back in. And this little bee flies home. I think I have this too many intersection points because this is really annoying. So, on to the next turn, of which it is yellow's turn. A little bit of shameless plagiarism. Warning, the stream. What are you talking about? Yes. Okay. All right. So, next turn. Yellow has 3 bees. It doesn't have anything that it can do in the hive. And it has nothing that it wants to do in the hive. So it is going to collect 1, 2. And this one is going to... Oh, actually. This one's going to scout first. It draws a yellow. Now, in theory, the other players can't tell what this is. I can because I'm Q. It's going to put this yellow over here. And then it's going to put the other 2. Or it's going to do 1 on red and another 1 on red. And that's going to give a pollen and a nectar. Now that nectar could get turned into honey this turn. He's also going to do field bees. 1, 2, 3. But he's going to employ a little bit different of a strategy. Going to put both of those in there. And then scout. Early bee allows me to interrupt the other player's turn in order to use 3 bees from the bee pool. And then the third one was a scout. So this becomes exhausted. And we get 2 resources. We're going to do 2 pollen. Because remember, the goal at the end of the day is to fill up the hive through any means necessary. At least that's what the goal of the day is today. It could very well change in the future. They're going to do one, or they're going to scout first. Oh, look, isn't that a beauty? So that scout goes back, and now all of these flip over to be worth 3. There's 2 more bees. Both of them are going to go to this, and it will become exhausted. But they earn 2 resources. 1, 2. They're kind of diversifying what they can do. Now, I don't really know how many bees are left. It would be pretty easy to count in real life. So they're going to spend this. This does not cost anything to do. It's going to go back in here. We were just about to get a bear. And it's going to replace this with a random tile. So we'll just keep flipping. Replace it with a red. Wild. All right. And now they have 3 bees. They're going to nurse, nurse, nurse. Boom, 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 boom. Their turn. They're going to process, process, nurse. Boom, boom, flip, flip. Now these bees also act as guards. If purple decided to rob, boom, 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 it would kick this bee back into the bee pool. And now yellow can't use this honey until they kick purple off of there. Sorry about that. So they're going to do that. And now yellow has hive bees it needs to use. So it's going to build right here, which spends this honey. And then it's going to kick this purple bee off. And then it's going to build again this honey. Now, I feel like this is a lot faster paced of a game. I also feel like there needs to be a way or a rule through which people can destroy comb. Now, in this version, people can't kill bees, but in this one, they very, very much can. So, and I flipped over by person number 2, because it's the second room, the second layer, if you will. Purple still has a couple of bees left, and these bees are going to scout. Find a red. 1, 2, 3. Right there. And then collect. So they're going to take a pollen. Now, remember, if I were to put a bee here, he could spend this just collected pollen to get new brood. You know, I'm just going to put them all here, and any new bees or finished bees are going to go there this time. Not confusing at all. These bees fly home. Fly home. Fly home. boom, boom. So robbing this instance is, in a lot of ways, less of a waste. And I think it gets even more dynamic and cooler when you have multiple players that decide to rob, because you're having to protect over here and you're having to protect over here. But who are you protecting from? Who's your biggest thief? Oh, this guy too. So, exhausted, exhausted. It is now purple's turn. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now there's not even 3 actions that I can do in the hive. But what I can do is I can scout to there for now. A barren tile. Now these tiles are really interesting because you can put them anywhere on the map that you want, and it costs an extra point of movement. So if this were a game where I wanted to stop blue from getting over here, I could put this here, and now blue would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can do this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but this also 1, 2, 3. Doesn't quite cut me off from there, but it does cut me off from getting access to a possible grass route. If I were yellow, I might put it here or there or something like that. But I'm going to put it here because I'm mean. Because now yellow has to go 1, 2, 3. Can't get to there. 1, 2, 3. So now yellow is actually incentivized to build this grass lane so that it can access this honey over here. This nectar, pollen, red flowers over there. So that was 1 scout, 2nd scout, blue flowers. Okay. And then 3rd one is going to go there to collect. And they're going to collect more pollen. Yellow. 3, there's nothing in the hive. So 1, 2, 3. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Going to scout and get a grass. Going to scout and get a blue. You dirty blue. Oh, I haven't been doing weather. Well, so weather plays a factor. So the first turn of the game is always sunny. Last turn was also sunny. This turn is sunny, and next turn will be sunny. So the way that I just flubbed it a little bit. You're supposed to do weather at the start of every turn. And the way that weather works is it cuts off the range at which you can fly. So if it is a sunny day like it is now, wink, wink, you can fly 1, 2, 3 spaces. If it's overcast, you can only fly 2. If it's raining, you can only fly 1. You have a 1 hex range. So that was 1 scout into there. And now 1 bee into there, and then a scout. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, right there. And I collected, I think I did. Anyway, 1 to honey, 1 to honey, 1 to a new guy. Three going into the world. I'm going to do a scout, which gives me a marathon bee, which allows me to fly an extra space. Might be worth keeping that for a future turn. Scout again. I don't know why I would scout again. There's no reason for it. 1 to there, and 1 to there. I'm going to take 1 of these, and they actually have to start getting honey. Otherwise, they're not going to have a chance. Yellow. And this will be the last turn, I think. Or maybe 1 turn of weather. Right, 1 turn of bad weather. Yeah, wild. A 1 in 3 chance each time. And it was coming up like that every time. Okay. 3 bees. Gonna do comb. Comb. And then he has no job, so he goes back there. And this honey goes away. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just focusing on getting more bees. Now, of course, in the actual gameplay, this goes by a little faster because everybody just does it themselves. Here, they're going to get nothing but bees. 1, 2, 3. There. That's going to give them 3 pollen. 3. And then they have what, 3 bees left? Into the world. Now, next turn is going to be rain. That means that I can only fly 1 space. Really kind of sucks for yellow unless they can do something else. But purple also kind of sucks for them. So they're going to scout, and they're going to draw a red tile. They're going to put it here, and then they're going to scout again, and they're going to draw a yellow tile, and they're going to put it there. And then they're going to scout again, and they're going to get this, which unexhausts a couple of tiles of their choice. Maybe that should get reduced to 1 tile of their choice. But that's all of purple's bees. Now yellow has 2 bees left. Oh, this is exhausted. And this is exhausted. 2 bees, 1 to here, 1 to here, which exhausts both of these tiles, or it will at the end of the turn. Even though it has a capacity of 3 bees, 2 bees on it at the end of the turn will exhaust it. So they get 2 more goodies. They're going to do 1 pollen, and they're going to do 1 nectar. Now, it might be a mistake, because it does kind of leave purple in the position to determine what yellow has next to its hive, right? If purple draws a couple of grass tiles, they might just kind of screw yellow over like that, because yellow has nothing in it can put. However, they might be fine. We'll see. Plenty of bees, but on a rainy day, that's not actually that good. Because in terms of min-max, which bees do, that is their whole shtick, in terms of min-max, I can't really do a lot, because I can only have 5 actions. And unless I can collect something from over here, then I'm kind of screwed. So, we start with you. However, they do have this, which gives a couple of their field bees an extra little bit of space for 1 turn. First thing they're going to do is scout. 1 scout. Nice. A little bit of an extra marathon. Maybe that's where they go. Go down here. Very nice. And now this won't really do much because it allows you to make things unexhausted. But at the end of the turn, that's what the rain will do for the entire map. This allows you to do it in a targeted area. So 1 scout, 2 scout. The wrong time to be drawing action tiles. And 3 scout. Yellow. We'll put that there. Purple is going to scout because it's going to try to. Oh no, sorry. First it's going to. Nope. They're going to undo that whole move. And I've given more leniency to purple. Not for any particular reason, just because, whatever. So they're going to collect and collect and stop yellow from getting anything out of that. Because they are nefarious. So that's going to give them 1, 2, 3. I do wonder if I should make people fill in the top rows first. Or have a rule that says, all right, you need to have all of these filled before you can fill the next one. The next row has to be supported by 2 so that it doesn't fall off, right? Otherwise, you end up with something like this, where this is not supported by anything else. I think that I actually really like that rule, which would force them to build up there, and then build that row, and then build there, and then build that row. I think I actually really like that rule. I'm gonna make that a rule, which would force them to be like this. Yeah, I'd make that hive look like that. Right? Like you see how every piece of comb is either supported by a tree branch or by something above it, by at least 2 comb above it. So, what were they doing? They just did that. Boom, boom. Their turn. They have nothing that they can collect, which is really annoying. At least it would be, unless they had a marathon bee. So they're going to spend that. Marathon bee goes into here. I just pressed the shuffle button a bunch. I swear. So they can fly 1-2, but that's exhausted. 1-2, but that's exhausted. Whoop-de-doo. So they're going to fly 1-2 to there. 1-2 to here. And 1-2 to there, which will exhaust this tile. It will exhaust this tile, and it will exhaust this tile. But they get 3 resources out of it, which is just about perfect. So they're going to go 1 there. They're going to go 1 here. And they could take another pollen, because the pollen can be spent from anywhere in the hive. It doesn't necessarily need to go into these spaces. But it could be good to have a storehouse of pollen? Question mark. Yeah, whatever. They're also going to spend their marathon bee. And they're going to go 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. And scout 1, 2. Oh, look, new growth. We can mess with them again. But I don't really want to break this chain up, because this chain is also good for me as purple. Anyway, I get to collect 2 things, and this becomes exhausted. We're going to do the unthinkable and fill it with nectar. I think it's time to work on the hive. Now, he can still scout. If this tile were filled in, he can still scout, but any non-action tile just goes back into the bag. So he can still scout, but it's probably a waste of a scout. So 3 bees are going to go 1, 2, 3. Their turn. They're going to do the same thing. 1, 2, because they're also reduced to a range of 1. Now this tile could still get scouted and collected from, but nobody really wants to make that investment. So they're going to build, boom, build, boom, and process. Oh, wow, okay. Build? Anyway, this gets built. This gets built. And they have 1 bee left. What should this bee do? It could nurse another baby to life, but the game is ending next turn. So it's going to build. Look at that. Look at that nice comb structure right there. Isn't that perfect? With these defense tiles, I still have a couple of ideas, but nothing confirmed. They're going to do this, do this, do this, and then they have 2 Bs left. One's going to scout a red right there. The other one's going to collect from it, if nothing else, to stop the purple from getting it. They don't like them. They're gonna do 1, boom, and they're gonna spin it from here first, because that's best. 2, boom, boom. 3, has to be there or there. Boom. No more yellows. So this game, they've ended with a couple of extra Bs. Interesting. So they're going to do this, and they're going to do this. Boom, 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 boom. Now, my initial thoughts so far. These hives look exactly the same, and every hive will be built exactly the same way with that rule. Do I like that rule, therefore? I don't know. I think I do. I think I really, really like that rule. However, there needs to be more variability of the types of comb that can be built. If it is just defense and it is just normal, or if it is just normal comb and brood comb, that's kind of boring. And the entire point of introducing that whole comb idea is to make it more interesting. So, something else needs to be added. As for what that is, still remains to be seen. One of those ideas is defense. OBS. Give me OBS. There we go. Window capture. So, this is the other option, right? Where we have comb. Oh, I want to color. Let me color. Yay. We have color. Comb. We have comb. We have comb. This is just an exhausted thing. This is a brood thing, like we have before. So that's just the token to represent that exhausted. A queen could be really interesting. The queen could be the kill switch of the hive, right? So if you end up taking a queen space, it ends up removing the other players from the game, which would be a sudden death sort of thing, which I kind of like. Defended is an interesting choice of words, right? So if we get rid of this, we go back to screen top. If we had a defended comb, what that means to me is if purple wants to come here, boom, boom, the first B that it puts on gets taken off, and it has to put in a third B in order to do that. I kind of like that. So what happens if yellow kicks it, right? Does purple need to do it again? Maybe yes. Those are choke points. So in order to breach this spot, they either need to go around to a point that's not a choke point, or, and this couldn't, okay, I guess it's there then. Oh, and after a certain point, it's a lot easier to get here than it is to get here. Right? Like, if they build this last spot, that's not a bad idea. 1, boom, 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 and then they kick them off, right? Yeah, and I really like this mechanic too because you get bees fighting bees. You get a player trying to break into a hive, trying to find what the easiest point to break into the hive is, right? Like if they try here and it fails, then they might try here. 2, 3. And now they need to kick them out. There. There. Right? And then that third one might do something else in the hive. But now they have a breach point where they can go boom, boom, boom. And it's also a question of whether or not we allow them to steal things other than honey. I am very inclined to say no. Because bees don't rob nectar. Bees don't rob for pollen. They rob solely for honey. And if there's no honey in the hive, they're not going to rob it in the first place. So they rob for honey. That's the entire point of robbing, is to get that little last bit of honey. So this was 2 players, and we kind of explored a decent chunk of the map. And then the rings, and then all of these went away. All right, all of that just kind of goes away. Get that disgusting green out of here. And then we're left with this. These guys fly home. And then these guys fly home. And overall, it's a pretty successful turn. In the end, yellow does win because it has 1 more piece of comb, even though purple has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. If that's right, that's kind of crazy. They have 4 extra bees. 4 bees for 1 piece of comb. You know what that does actually sound like the equivalency? Because you need to, oh no, it would be 2 bees for 1 comb. Because you need to, well, you need to spend a bee to collect. You need to spend a bee to process. You need to spend a bee to build. So that's 3 bees for 1 comb. Whereas nursing is spend a bee to collect it, spend a bee to get brood. And it's kind of interesting because these guys started off with more brood anyway. But anyway, that was a little brief question mark walkthrough of how to play this variant of the bee game, at least so far. Now, we didn't have anything like wasps or bear or anything like that show up, so kind of fortunate in that regard. And thank you very kindly for, I guess, not tuning in necessarily, but for checking it out. I shall leave you to it. Have a wonderful, wonderful day wherever in the world you are, and keep being you, if you is a good person.